Welcome back to the Supercar Connection podcast.
So we're trying to do 50, 55 this month.
Back in the stew, as we said.
Back in the stew.
I bought a SVJ from a store in Miami. So we sent it to a Lamborghini store. Service guy sent me a video. This car is new.
What a dynamic.
Right?
We got Shawn here on today, owner of Exotic Car Factory down in Orange County, one of the fastest growing exotic dealerships in the country, I'd say.
Easy.
Thanks for driving up and coming on.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me.
So can you let's just start, because we've started a car dealership in the exotic space. It has not been an easy space to break into, I would say. When did you start ECF and how did that look like? Can you kind of take us back to the beginning?
Yeah, we started in end of 21 or beginning of 22.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I've been in the space for a very long time. I worked at franchise stores for 15 years before I started selling exotics. But one of my first stores, we did exotics as well. That was like the secondary thing we did. It was a franchise store, but we had exotics on the side. That's how I got, my feet wet, per se. But, the struggle didn't really come till I started on my own.
For sure.
Working for someone is always super easy. You go home at the end of the day and you leave your problems at work.
Yeah, your liabilities are done.
Now I take my problems home with me.
24 hours a day.
It's crazy. It's
What
crazy.
do you think the hardest thing was entering the space in the beginning? The biggest hurdle initially?
Capital, man. Like, cars take so much money to buy. And when you're an independent dealer, next year starts you with a $100,000 floor plan.
Yeah.
And then you got to work with that. I had some money saved up. I mean, I've worked in the car business for 18 years, right? So that's the biggest problem I had, coming up with money. And then what I did was I saved money, put it back into cars, saved more,
Right.
Kept going.
So that was the initial hurdle, was just capital.
Capital.
So it's almost like if you can't start off with money, you're sitting there going, we need to just position ourselves for time and savings to be able to get to that point.
Yeah, or I would start off with, like BMWs, Mercedes. I just didn't want to do that because we were in OC and I felt like the market in OC at the time, exotics would have been the best thing to start off with.
What was the first car you bought and sold?
It was a McLaren 570.
Do you remember the numbers on it?
At the time, there was a dealership that was going out of business, and he was liquidating all their stuff. That's the first car I bought, I think, 140 grand, and I sold it for like 145,
Okay.
148 maybe. And then I remember I took a Ferrari California in trade, and I did well on the California.
Oh, good for you, out of California. Would you buy a California today?
I just took one in trade.
Really?
Did you really?
Yeah,
Do
on a
those-
G-Wagon.
How long do those sit?
The price point.
Yeah.
Someone wants to drive a Ferrari for 125, 130 grand. That's the way to go.
Hard top convertible, V8 twin turbo,
It's a
prancing
48
horse on the steering wheel.
Yep. And
It's not a bad deal.
there's a great saying. There's an ass for every seat.
There quite literally is.
For
That
every-
car too, it has the 48 motor. So if you tune that thing, it's a sleeper build.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's a sleeper build. You can get. We talked to Matt about this, and Matt's like, people don't understand. It's the same motor, it's just detuned. So you can get. He's like, I can pull 200 horsepower out of the California T motor
Wow.
instantly on a tune.
Wow.
It's not bad, right? Put it on some wheels, lower it, nice interior.
You can make that car look really nice.
Yeah, we've talked
You
about this a
know.
couple times, actually.
Just the reputation you might get.
Surprisingly
it's not
enough.
gonna be the best.
Mhm.
You know what I like to do? Those type of cars, I want to get it, inspect, do whatever I got to do to make it look good, and make sure that it's healthy, and then put it on the road quick and move on.
And just
You
move the units like that.
Move the units. I've been getting to a different model as far as moving. I want to get to selling 50, 75 cars a month.
Okay. When you
It's a
first
big
started,
volume.
that's massive in the exotic
Mhm.
space. Doing that, that's fucking wild. When you first started, what did the numbers look like? And then how was the progression to the point where you can say, I want to do 50, 75 a month?
I think we started with 8 cars. Most of them were leased under my name, right? And then we had a couple, one consignment and couple that I bought. We were selling 5 to 7 cars a month for like the first 3-4 months. Became 8, 10. Now we do between 35 and 40. This month we're already at 32. So we're trying to do 50, 55 this month.
That's freaking massive numbers.
Yeah, we're only halfway through.
Yeah.
That's massive fucking numbers.
Well,
But
congrats on the growth. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. But I also do a lot of, now I do wholesale as well. It's not all retail. If I make the same money, I don't care where it's coming from, right?
100%. That's almost a luxury, though, to be able to do wholesale, no?
Yeah.
You have to be in the cars at the correct numbers to be able to do that.
Yeah.
How does a dealership even be able to get into a position to buy a car the right way?
You know, we built a decent brand. We get a lot of phone calls. I've built a lot of relationship with wholesalers, brokers. My phone rings all day long, and I put bids on cars. And if I get 10% of the cars I put bids on, I'm happy.
That's fair numbers. How do you calculate what you want to pay for something? Is there a formula you have in your head? Do you constantly know the market changing at every single day, price point weeks?
Yeah, look, we use a software called vAuto. It has all the information you need. You know, it shows you what they're listed for, shows you how long they've been sitting there, shows you what they're selling for, what they run at the auction. You look at all the metrics and you figure out, okay, you want to make X amount of dollars on the car, so you give the bid based on that.
Okay.
It makes it easy. That's
Extremely.
better than just going off of your Manheim value.
You know, Manheim
MMR.
is so Manheim is something I can't go off of anymore
Mm-hmm.
because there's companies out there that's paying stupid money to make their lane look good
Right.
at the auction. You know, that's why we wholesale so much.
Yeah.
You want to pay to get this car so you can run it on the lane to bring some bids. Go ahead, pay me.
Yeah,
I'll
give me the
take
money.
it.
Yeah, give me the money all day long.
Because I've seen MMRs that were pretty much the same as the estimated retail number it gives,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
you're like, how does this even happen?
You can't go by MMR unless it's like a crazy spec that you'll pay crazy money for. There's no way you can go by just MMR. I have to look at retail. I got to see how long it's been sitting there. You know, there's a lot of cars that's been sitting. Dealers have cars sitting for 75 days, 100 days, 200 days. I've seen 350. I was looking at a McLaren 750 this morning. Dealers have these cars for 350 days.
It's unreal. On a McLaren like that, too, there's no way nobody's touching that fucking car at that point.
No way.
What makes a dealer be able to do that and sit on a car like that for so long?
Some people just don't want to lose money. Like if a car is sitting there for 45 plus days, I'm okay breaking even. I'm even okay taking a little bit of a loss because I'll move that money to the next car and hopefully make it back on the next one.
Right. The
know?
opportunity to be able to bid on the next thing.
That's something I learned at the franchise stores. We don't get to keep cars for 100 days there, right? Our thing is 60 days, it's got to be gone. I run it the same exact way.
Right.
At 45 days, I tell all my guys, listen, I don't care what the deal is, take it and move on.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's run it.
45 days. That's
Yeah.
not a long time.
It's
Turn it.
not, but
It's
you know,
done well for you, obviously.
Yeah. Especially the normal cars, right? Like the built cars, I understand it's gonna take some time.
Mhm.
You know, like not everyone's gonna buy a Mansory Cullinan. Okay, that's not gonna sell in 45 days. But
Yeah.
you know, everything else like regular Huracans, McLarens, you know, Mercedes, BMW, they gotta go.
Those built cars are a really hot topic right now. You are doing relatively decent volume on them, no?
I do.
What is lay me down what you've been able to do in the last year with those type of cars.
You know,
First, what do we
go
even
ahead.
mean by built cars?
Oh yeah, you're right. So what would you categorize a built car to be exactly?
anything with a body kit, right? But we do good brands, right? I try to primarily do Mansory. We do Urban, 1016, all the brands.
Okay.
You know, the reason why we do them is because there's so many dealers in Orange County, in LA, in the California market. You got to stand out to get your name out there, right?
Right.
I don't think, to be honest with you, for me at least, the amount of time it takes and the money it takes to build these cars, I just don't think the return is there.
The return on term and wait how long you're in the car for on top of the money.
Yeah, so you order a car.
Mhm.
If you have a relationship with the new car dealer, you don't have to put deposits, right? But
Right.
for the most part, you do. Okay, you put the deposit, you wait 3 months. Car gets there, you buy the car, right? And then you send it to a shop. Sometimes they're fast, sometimes they're slow. If you don't time it correctly and don't order the kit at the same time as the car, or maybe you find out when the car is coming, you order the kit like 2-3 weeks before. Like I've made the mistake where I got the car, then ordered the kit, waited 8 weeks to get the kit, another 4 weeks to put it on. So car sat at the shop for 3 months. Okay, that was a Phantom.
Mm-hmm.
And I made 30 grand after selling the car on 640,000 invested. For
Yeah.
3 months makes no sense,
No, it doesn't.
right? Now I time it a little differently, but what I do it for is just to get the clout off these cars. It's your name gets out there. Everyone knows, oh, this guy's the guy with 10 Mansory cars sitting there. But they may not come for that. They'll buy something else, but they'll come to see the cars, you
Right.
know?
So it's a way to get people through the door to some
Correct.
degree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 'Cause
A marketing tool.
There's
Yeah.
not a lot of people here on the West Coast even doing too much like that.
No, because you do one or two, then you realize, holy shit, man, I spent this much time building this car and this is all I made on it, you know? And there's competition, right? There's, a guy in San Diego is doing it. There's guys in LA doing it. I'm not the only one,
Right.
right? And then you don't want to start pricing them down and bring the whole market down.
Yeah.
So all the built cars, wherever I list it at, I usually leave it there till it sells.
No matter what.
Yeah, because I don't want to ruin the market for everyone else.
Right.
It's a good brand, especially Mansory. Everything else, I mean, everyone priced them all over the place. But Mansory, it's like Cullinans are 900 grand, Phantoms are like, 800 grand. And we always leave it there and take offers from there.
$900K for a Cullinan.
That's the listing price.
That is something else. when
Is
you
that a
think about
redone interior too, or just the body kit?
No, just the body kit.
So 1.3 for a Brabus that's exterior and fully interior. There's no market for that.
it. And powertrain upgrade.
But people are paying $900,000 for a Rolls Royce with the Mansory body kit.
I'm sure there's a market for it, but people aren't educated on the brand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no one's done the marketing for that brand.
That someone needs to create the market for that company.
Yeah.
There needs to be somebody that creates the Brabus market.
Someone needs to go out there, start posting these cars, get the cars in the marketplace, get some cars on people's hands, let them drive it, and,
They need
build the
Jake
brand.
Paul making videos.
Exactly. Look at what happened with Venom.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know who they were.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
And
Their Pearl Songway kit has to be the most fire fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
Insane.
It's beautiful. It's
Insane.
beautiful.
I
That
had-
car I'd pay 7, 8, 900K for.
I'm building one right now.
You're building a
A Pure
Vent-
Songway, yeah.
they're 650 before a kit, so it's gonna be more than 700K.
900. I'll pay 900 for that car. How much are you gonna list it for?
$899.
899.
Yeah. I'm building a G-Wagon. I don't know what the kit's called, but the headlights are square, tail lights are lines. It's a whole different car.
How did Venom pop out of nowhere then? What happened to them?
I'm sure they've been around for years. They just,
You
They
make the
just-
right kit, the
exactly.
right time.
And
someone put them on the
map.
map.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing. So it's almost like these aftermarket companies need to be able to be working with somebody of status or with pedigree that has a dealership to be able to really bloom like that.
Yeah. Someone needs to be out there marketing.
Yeah, because I'll talk about limited spec and everything else when it comes to Mansory. That was when you talk about a perfect storm. That is the definition of a perfect storm. Mansory coming over here, the way that limited spec operates, the imagery they have, the reputation they have, it created like a clout that was I've never seen before in the
The
automotive industry.
location with Miami.
Everything. Alec Monopoly being involved, everybody, all the artists backing them. It's a perfect storm. It's hard
Man-
to replicate that shit.
Mansory's been around for years.
Long ass
yeah.
time.
Mansory's been doing these kits. Look, Shaliza did a kit with Mansory on a Phantom years ago, right?
Yeah. The
But-
reputation just wasn't the same.
Yeah.
We used to roast Urus's 3 years ago with that freaking triangle exhaust, and then now,
Well,
they're
I
at
was
the
looking.
top right
I
now.
was looking at 599 kits back in 2009. So
That's fucking
when
true.
they were doing the
That's
Mansory
fucking
599 Stallone. So
It's also partly what helped them too, and I think it's kind of like the whole branding image, right? We talk about Rolls Royce, not even an aftermarket company. Let's talk about Rolls Royce only, right? Pre-COVID Rolls Royce, post-COVID Rolls Royce. Everything was clean specs, the refined gentleman. Now that's Mandarin blew up because of COVID and the change in the market. So that was like the start of seeing the down the line. Okay, now we're getting to a part where everyone wants more exclusivity, shit that no one's seen before, color combinations, and now these aftermarket kits are the next level of exclusivity that's being thrown into the marketplace out of nowhere.
Yeah, like look, even when I'm appraising a car, I am not gonna pay up unless it's got Mandarin, green, yellow. It's got to be some crazy interior. Black on black doesn't bring the money on
No,
rolls,
it doesn't
Mhm.
anymore.
right?
Freaking red on tan don't bring money on Ferrari anymore.
No,
Not
no.
at all. That
It's
used to
just-
be like people used to make literally, if you buy a red Ferrari, you're always gonna be all right.
Yeah.
That shit ain't the same anymore.
No, man. Nowadays you got to do crazy colors. You got to do good interiors. You got to get sport bucket seats. You know.
The whole nine.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a fad or think this is here to stay?
here to stay.
I don't know. You know.
Sorry, but for
I
me
think
that's an
about
easy
it.
one. That's an easy one.
I'm in the same boat.
You're
as you.
talking about the specs or the builds?
To be honest with you, I think.
Oh, I was
both.
thinking specs personally.
I don't think the builds are here to stay. I think that this is just one of those times where you capitalize on it when you can, and when it starts slowing down, you move on to the next thing.
Right.
Right. When I started, kits weren't a thing. No one was doing the kits.
Right.
Right. We were just moving 8, 10 normal cars, 12 cars, and move on. Now it's the whole kits. Right. I do so many of them just to stay relevant.
You're Mr. Mansory West Coast. I changed your
Man.
contact name to that. I just call you Mr. Mansory now.
Man, it's been bringing a lot of customers.
You have a Mansory RSQ8. You have a Mansory Escalade.
I know.
I didn't even know that should exist.
I
When
didn't
you
know that
posted-
existed. either.
when he
Mansory makes an
posted
RSQ8 kit.
it- Yes.
Yeah, they have a Mansory
He
RSQ.
posted it. I took like 5 minutes to just look. I looked at the picture and I was zooming in. I was like, okay.
That's
shit.
the most Dubai thing I've ever heard in my life.
That's what that market
But
existed for.
People love that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, people love that stuff. That Escalade I have, I mean, that thing's getting so many calls. You know, 150 grand for a 2024 Escalade. But they take a lot to build. It costs a lot to build Mansory. It's not a cheap brand. You know, there's other brands you can do a wide body kit for 30 grand.
Yeah.
This thing costs hundreds of thousands to do.
I think that's the biggest thing that's driving force for them is back in the day. Well, first off, a lot of shops, there wasn't a lot of quality shops that existed, right? I'm not saying that there's a lot now, but there's more. It's a bigger industry than it was before. To be able to install a kit flawlessly is fucking extremely difficult. Extremely difficult to make it retail quality.
Yes.
That's the challenge. Retail quality. You can slap a kit on and it's 80%. It's pretty damn good. Nobody's going to really notice shit. But to make it retail dealership premium 900K, that shit ain't easy.
You ever been faked by have you ever been tricked by a fake kit?
I've been tricked by, well, we've caught it, but a lot of Brabus kits, half the Brabus kits out there are fake. There's Mansory kits that out there that are fake.
I think
You know,
90% of the Brabus
I bought a
kits are
car.
fake.
You bought
I bought a car. Kit was real, but the wheels are fake.
Oh, okay.
You know, so we replaced the wheels with the real.
How can you tell? What's the give? On wheels specifically. That's got to be not as easy as a kit.
Okay, I didn't know that the wheels were fake,
Got it.
right? But what I did was, the car was done by a shop. I'm not going to mention who. The car looked like my kid painted the front end of the car, and he's 7 years old, right? It looked trash. It's
Right.
like a paintbrush.
Right.
I bet I could guess. Am I allowed to guess?
No.
No, okay. You know I'm gonna get it right. That's the problem.
Go ahead, Shawn. Go ahead.
It gets there. I'm like, oh my God, there's no way I'm going to sell this car like this.
Right.
So I send it to my guys in LA.
Uh-huh.
All right. They stripped the car completely. Every panel that was painted, all the Mansory part, we stripped it. And in the process of taking everything off, they're like, hey, these wheels, something's wrong with the wheels. Maybe the previous customer didn't like how the monoblock looked and or whatever and changed it. Who knows? But the wheels were fake, so we got the real wheels. And we verified everything else is real. Because they got 3 of my other kits sitting there, so they can, you
Right.
know,
They can
verify.
compare and do
Yeah.
all this crap like that.
Yeah, and I got the certs for the car, so
The certs are a big deal, huh?
it's the biggest deal when it comes to Mansory.
It's everything.
You have to have certs. I wouldn't buy a kit or a car that's kitted from someone without certs.
What does the certification look like for that? It's just like a booklet, or
Yeah, it's like a
It's a picture of
It
Santiago's
looks like a
face.
diploma.
Mansory box and papers included?
It comes with a little black card
Mhm.
and then like a little cert that looks like a diploma.
Little black card,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
So do you want to know something that Brabus is doing to up that level?
What is it?
They have a an NFT now that's dedicated to each car, and
Okay.
there's a plaque that's installed into the back of the trunk,
It's like an RFID scanner. You just
Yeah.
put your phone next to it, and it
scans
opens a
it.
link to
And
the.
you have a one-of-one NFT, and using blockchain technology, you can see it transfer from owner to owner, from the original purchaser of the car to however many down the line it is, kind of like a title almost, using blockchain technology. And it's literally like kind of like the Ferrari plaque.
Uh-huh.
Think of that same thing in the back of your trunk with a QR code that you scan, and it tracks everything.
You need that because that's a brand that's been around forever, and people are making fake kits for 10 grand and, trying to
Just
sell
running
these
it up.
G-Wagons for 300 grand without, 400 grand without the proper paperwork. And guys who don't know won't know.
That's the biggest thing that scares me is the amount of client base that has probably been so crazy scammed because of the hype. So many guys see the opportunity to make 50, 60, 75 on a lick like that. And I know that for a fact that there are buyers out there that are just uneducated, that are getting licked
Oh yeah.
badly.
I bought a G-Wagon from someone.
Mhm.
The guy could have sworn the kit was real. It was fakest thing I've ever seen.
You walk up, you see the weave. It's just,
And the guy paid $100 for the kit.
Oh.
For a
yeah.
G63 kit, not even a 700, just a G63 kit. And they paid a shop 100 grand, and they probably bought the kit for 10, 15.
That hurts so bad.
that's a lick. It's a lick and a half. That's why it's those shops and certain that industry gets a bad rep from some time because there's bad players in the game like that, and destroys the industry. Like the auto industry probably has the worst reputation of almost any sector out there.
For sure.
What's the like I guess what's the scammiest thing you've seen in your years of the running your dealership?
Fake titles.
Fake titles?
That's
Fake
gotta be
titles.
crazy. Some of these fake titles are pretty spot
Oh, they
on.
look real. Early on, that was one of the biggest things. It was going around so much. Someone would try to sell you a car with a title, and in California, it's a little bit easier. We can run a DMV report called the KSR, which tells you who the registered owner is, if there's a lien holder, and if that doesn't match the title, we've caught so many of them. We've probably caught 5, 10 of it in the beginning. It doesn't happen as much anymore because we run reports on everything, verify with the DMV, make sure the titles are real. But yeah, that's
That's got to be pretty damn near top tier scammy. So what happens in that case scenario? Let's say you buy a car, you don't verify the title, and then now everything's done, and now you're sitting there going, I got a fake title and I paid all this money for the car. What does a dealer do? How do they even get out of that situation?
that's the car probably has a stolen report, right? Someone lost the car. You might want to get with the cops and figure out whose car it is.
That money's just gone then, huh?
Yeah,
Did you just get licked and you're done?
you're done.
That one deal can put a dealership out of business.
Oh yeah. I
If
mean,
you're a new
losing.
dealer?
Yeah, if you're a new dealer, losing.
$300,000.
Yeah.
You're fucked. That's
Yeah.
why this game is so fucking difficult. And there's so many opportunities. I think the one thing about the auto industry that like makes it such a scammable thing is there's certain aspect of niche knowledge you have to be able to know to be able to run and operate a scale of dealership that you have to that degree. You have to be able to know all the back end of the DMV. You got to know everything about the cars. You got to know what's currently happening in that market. You have to be so detail oriented that it's so easy to fall through the cracks and you can get licked on something so small. But it takes someone that's been through the ringer, knows everything to be able to even manage something like that. Everybody's trying to fuck everybody at all times.
Yeah, you really got to know the market. You really got to know. Forget about the market. You got to know the process. You got to know registration stuff. You got to know you got to register a car within 30 days. I didn't know that when I first started, because at the franchise store, once we write the deal, we send it to the business office. We don't hear about it.
Right.
Car gets registered. They get funded from the bank. That's not our business,
Right.
Because we're selling at 700-800 cars a month, right? We're not worried about, did the car get registered? Did the fees get paid? No, that's why there's a whole business office for. When I first started, we had it was a consignment car. We had paid it off. Bank took forever to send the title, like a month and a half. You go to the DMV, they're like, oh, you got penalties. You only get 30 days to register a car. At least you got to post the fees. These are all new things we learned along the way.
You just got a couple licks on the way up.
Man, I've taken some hits.
Can I ask you what the worst hit has been?
I took $100,000 hit on a cashier's check getting stolen.
Fuck. Oh my goodness.
We paid off a car to Wells Fargo. We send a cashier's check. So I go to my bank. I get a cashier's check. We put it on FedEx overnight, send it, right? Couple days later, I think 5 days later, I never even checked to see if they received it.
Right.
I mean, it's FedEx. You're overnighting it.
Right.
What do you have to worry about? Few days go by, and the customer called and said, hey, my car's not paid off. I'm like, what? I send a copy of the cashier's check to the customer. I'm like, well, let me track the package. We track the package. It says, it went from California. I forget where it was going, but it went to Texas, and it says delayed. At this time, there is no weather issues. There's no storms. Why wouldn't it be there, right? So I go to the bank because I have the top half of the cashier's check. All right, I'm going to go to the event to Chase. I'm like, okay, well, give me a new check. Cancel this one because it looks like it's lost somewhere. They're like, okay, let me give you a new one. They give me a new one. I'm like, well, did you cancel the last one and put the money back into my account? They're like, well, let's go sit in the manager's office. Okay, let's go. For what? They're like, hey, Shawn, that check's been cashed. And now they can pull up the check that was cashed. I got the cashier's check made out to Wells Fargo. The check that was cashed is written to someone else's name. So they stole the cashier's check, washed the check, and deposited it into their bank account. What did Chase tell me? Look, you got a cashier's check from us. It's like coming in here and taking cash.
Right.
They literally tell me, hey, that's like you going out and them stealing your watch. We're not responsible. I'm like, well, someone cashed this check. What bank did it? Okay, it was Citibank who cashed the check. We're going to open up a claim. Brother, this went on for 6 months. Calling Citibank. Okay, the claim's open. They're looking into it. They're looking into it. You know what they did at the end? Citibank denied the claim.
On what grounds?
Because they cashed a real check. Even though the name that we wrote on the cashier check is not the same name they cashed, it was a real check. And the money was sitting with Chase, and Chase released the money. They're saying Chase released the money. Chase is saying it's a cashier's check. We have no way of tracking it. So I've talked to lawyers about this. It'll cost me more to fight banks than $100,000 I lost. Now what?
Chalk it up to the game.
Now what we do is when we send out a cashier's check, if it's not there the next day, it's getting canceled.
Immediately.
I'll send a second one.
Can you insure the FedEx for $100,000?
I think it would cost too much money.
Yeah.
But what we do is there's only few banks that doesn't take a wire for payoff.
Right.
We use at every chance possible, we wire for payoff. We do not do cashier's checks. It's one a month now, if that.
Damn, somebody got a $100K lick off you. I'm thinking of the person that cast the check. They really, the FedEx driver just saw it and he was like,
Well,
100 racks right here.
Well, it's someone that knows how to take the check and then basically forge a new one from it. So it takes some experience. It's not just some random person that ran into it and said, oh, look at this. Someone's looking for that sort of stuff.
That's fucking genius.
You know, there's a bunch of parties responsible for this, right? FedEx is responsible. They lost the package.
Right.
Citibank's responsible because they cashed that check.
Yeah. A fake
right?
check in a sense.
And I don't know how Chase is responsible, but they were my bank at the time.
Chase is responsible because normally when you cash that check, right, when they release the funds, there's when they put the check through the system, there's a kickback to Chase where it shows the check being cashed. Nobody verified to make sure the checks were matched. The name would have gave it away, and they would have went, hold on, this is not the same check that we issued. They saw a cashier's check, and they were like,
yeah.
Our reliability ended when he left. Mm-hmm. So we're just fulfilling our last fiduciary duty as the bank.
Yeah.
They're responsible for it, low key.
Yeah. I think both banks are responsible, right? I mean, Citibank, the teller's got to be able to tell this is a washed check. Yeah. I mean, it can be as clean as a clean check.
It cannot be.
There's no way.
Even if it's like 99%, there has to be some verification that they just can't be copied. It's like the same thing with the dollar bills. There's a whole reason for that shit.
Yeah, there's so many scams going around. Man. Even wires. If I'm sending a wire, to another deal, I'm calling their business office. I'm not taking a wire info from someone and just wiring. No, we're calling the business office on a landline. You need to verify your wire info because cars we deal with, it's not 20, 30 grand. Right? Sometimes we're wiring $700,000-$800,000. Right, so you got to do your due diligence. Make sure you're sending money to the right people.
What was the worst situation you've had where you've had like a lot of money in a car tied up because of some bullshit that might have happened? You're talking about $700K. Like if you wire $700K and something gets fucked up, you have $700K down or being held. That's got to be majorly a loss for the business.
Yeah, thankfully that hasn't happened. We're very careful with what we buy, and and we double, triple check after our first $100,000 mishap. So thankfully that hasn't happened.
Have you run into? Oh
No, you're good. No, you're good. Go
have you run into any of the mileage blocker stuff?
Oh yeah, I've bought my blocker cars.
Multiple times, it sounds like.
Oh yeah,
How do you?
I'm dealing with one. I'm dealing with one right now.
How do you end up finding out? You just send everything for an inspection after you buy it, and they catch it there. Or?
I'll tell you a good story. I bought a SVJ from a store in Miami. I'm not gonna mention the name of the store. And they sent me their PPI. I'm like, okay, this car is 700 grand. Let's send it to a Lamborghini store.
Right.
Okay. So we send it to a Lamborghini store. Service guy sent me a video. This car is mint. I said, okay, no problem. I paid. Car gets dropped off. It was after hours, so it gets dropped off to my house. We pulled the car off the truck. And I'm driving. It says, speedometer says 0 miles. Oh, it's not moving. It says 0 miles an hour. I'm driving 20 miles an hour. It's not moving.
Right.
I'm like, something's wrong. Maybe the battery's dying. I don't know.
Right.
Something's weird. I took a video. I sent it to the guy who I bought it from, the dealer. And I sent it to the service advisor. Neither one of them responds to me. So I take it straight to the next morning. I took it straight to the shop we work with. I'm like, hey, something's wrong with the car. The guy goes like, oh, there's a mile blocker on the car. I'm like, currently? He's like, yeah, there's currently a mile blocker. So he takes off the cluster and he's like, look at this. Blocker's right there, right?
It's like a physical piece of hardware.
Yeah.
Behind the cluster.
Correct. And I'm like, okay, how did Lambo not catch this? Right? So I call they're ignoring me, the Lambo store.
Of course.
And the guy who sold me the car, he's like, go fuck yourself.
Right.
You bought the car. You did a PPI. We're not responsible.
Right.
So, we got into a lawsuit and, settled there. But, yeah, that was the first one. And second one, I got burnt by a customer. Early on, we bought a Huracan, and customer had a blocker previously. Somehow the service people who did the work missed it. And we found out 2 years after the customer bought the car. Took it to a Lambo store and said, hey, this car has, a few thousand miles more than it really says.
Would they catch it by plugging in and seeing the transmission miles?
Yeah. Lambo,
it.
there's a beta test. You do it, it'll tell you what's on the cluster and what's on the ECU.
Fuck me. So in just hypothetically speaking, somebody could put a cluster on a car, right?
Mm-hmm.
Change the ECUs, drive it, and then when they want to sell it, change the original back and pop the cluster off, and they would match.
No, they don't take the cluster. They move as far as I know, right? They take the cluster off. They put a device.
You see my angle?
I see what you're saying.
They put a device.
Right.
Put the cluster back, and it stops the miles from rolling.
Right.
And then whenever they're done with it, they'll just remove the piece, and then it goes back to normal.
What I'm saying is, if the Lambo is an ECU check, right?
Okay.
ECUs are not $30,000. If you buy an ECU, you put a mileage blocker on it, you plug the new ECU in, you drive it with the mileage blocker on. When you sell the car, you take the old ECU, you put the original one back on, it'll match where the mileage blocker started.
I'm not sure how that works.
I think they can also pull the mileage off the TCU as well. You'd have to pull multiple things
to be able to make that.
But I see what you're saying.
And
you
there's-
pull everything off. You put just new sets in.
Yeah, because like think about when guys get like a different ECU to tune, like they have a tuned ECU and they have the original.
Yeah.
You could have your real mileage ECU and then your opera ECU and whatever you want to do.
But I think on Lambos they tune the ECU that's on there. I don't think they remove the car. They don't put a new one,
Right.
new tune one. They just tune what's on there, and then when they're done with it, take.
That's
the tune
how I
off.
did mine. But
Yeah.
it sounds like there's.
But
more ways
you
to
can
skin a cat.
you can get a whole separate ECU and do that.
Yeah, I guess.
There's just so many there's so many possibilities for scams that you get to a point in the business where you do the best you can to risk mitigate, but there's still even opportunities where even shit like that you'll never know
When you're in business, man, you run into these things,
all the fucking time.
right? You're gonna run into problems. You're gonna run into, that doesn't mean you're gonna stop doing business. You just do the best you can to mitigate the issues, right? Like I've been burned so many times. I'm not gonna shut down shop, right?
No,
you
never.
just learn from your previous mistake and figure out how not to do it next time. Now we checked every and any possible way for the last 2-3 years, man. We've been having customers sign all sorts of disclosures, because if you have sold me a car that has a blocker and we find out, for the next 5 years I'm going after you.
For everything you got.
Oh yeah. Look, I tell these people, look, if you can't buy a car and take the depreciation and drive in it, don't buy it.
Correct.
It's not for you.
But how are they supposed to get girls and stunt?
I don't know. Get something else.
But now what if someone buys it, they didn't know it was blocked, and then they give it to you, and then you find out later?
Well,
Like this guy bought the car and 2 years later find out it had a mileage blocker on it at some point.
we're going to have to go after the person who sold it to us, and they're going to have to go after the person who they bought it from. That's why most people buy from dealers, right? That's why Lambos don't transact between end users. Joe, you're not going to sell your car to John Doe over here privately. It's harder,
Right.
right? If you go through a dealer, what are you going to do? You're going to come back to the dealer and say, hey, I bought a car, and this thing has a blocker.
Right. There's
Right.
a liable party in the mediation room.
And now, like all the Lambos we sell are going to have a beta test. Okay, well, when we sold the car, here is what it was. Did you put a blocker or what
Right.
happened? Right?
So you got to have a relationship with everybody to be able to do that. Because
Yeah.
I'm assuming you check every Lambo has to get checked.
Every car, not just Lambos. Every
Everything.
car.
So there's no passing anything by ECF then.
I'm sure there is, but we do everything we can to make sure it's so much harder for them.
You guys are doing 35, 40 exotics a month. How big is the staff to be able to do something like that?
2 management staff, couple sales guys, detailers, people that take videos, pictures, 7-8 people.
And so pictures. So really in actual in-house type of thing, then what? Do you guys have 5 people?
So in-house, we got 6 people.
Okay. You want to shout them out, or do you want to name them all, or no, leave them unnamed?
No, we'll leave them on name. They're all very popular on the internet.
With their own communities.
Yeah.
Shout out to the staff.
Yeah.
Coolest thing I've seen you do is you hooked up Fuerza de Garza. That was the coolest shit I've ever seen.
I got to shout out Chamba for that.
That was sick as fuck.
He gave me the layup on that one. He
That was
brought the
fucking awesome.
customers. He's been great. He sent me. I've done a lot of deals for him. We've done a lot of deals together. I think he's bought 3 cars for me this year, and he's constantly sent me people. I truly appreciate that.
That shit was sick. He has there's this this whole a famous singing group in Mexico, and he literally fitted all of them with different cars, and they all went to ECF bottoms. What was a couple Urises, a Huracan.
It was a Huracan. Sorry, it was a McLaren, a Urus, Cullinan, and a 488.
That's so awesome. Was it a hard deal to get all 4 done, or did somebody haggle, the other one didn't? How was that whole thing, the whole process?
No, they told me who it was for.
Mhm.
And I'm like, here are the prices. Let's make it easy. This is what I can do. I went straight to the bottom line, and there was no going back and forth.
That was it.
Gave them the numbers. They were like, all right.
And you got 4 individual wires? You got one big ass wire.
One big ass wire.
That's so
Not bad.
That's so fucking sick.
They say, how much? They looked at the cars.
Right.
They were there. They're like, we'll send you the wire. We're taking the cars. All right, Go ahead. Sign the paperwork, take the car, send the wire. No problem.
Can I ask you this question?
Go ahead.
One thing I've noticed about you, and this is like something that you don't see in a lot of people, your trust with clients, you give a lot of leeway for trust. How do you get there?
You know, if you've done business with me before and the business was clean, there's no issues. Yeah, I have no problem with you wanting to drive a car or take it and show it to your wife.
Right.
It's normal stuff. You know, we used to do this in the franchise stores too. It's all good. But you got to build that trust. It can't happen on your first day. You're not going to walk in and say, hey, let me take the Cullinan and show it to my wife.
Right.
Because you may not show up with the car again. I might not have the money, you know?
You are very trusting.
Yeah, but if you've done business with me before and we have that relationship, you know, you're one of those guys that FaceTimes me at 2 a.m. when you need something, you can take a call.
How often are you, and again, I don't even know if you're allowed to say this exactly, but I'm sure you are. How often are you floating cars and waiting for funding? And is there anybody specifically that lags on funding at all?
No, it doesn't happen that often.
No.
We don't I don't have the bankroll to just float cars to people.
Right.
I have to constantly have our money working.
Right.
And, you know, we have floor lines. We got to pay them off. You only have few days after you sell a car to pay off your line. You can't. I don't really float to many people like that, you know?
It's the only bill you fuck with.
1 or 2 people, I'll do it. Hey, you want to give me the down payment in a few days? Okay, no problem. You know, we'll make it happen as long as you're good for it.
Got it. Okay.
And there's, you know, in our business, there's different payments on your contract.
Right.
You put it there, and if you don't make the payment, then you'd have to get the car back. You know.
So a lot of the contract work is what gives you security to be able to do that. But
For sure.
ultimately, you don't want to have to utilize that contract.
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, you're not gonna come and drive a Lambo off and tell me I'm gonna give you the down payment in 3 weeks, right?
Right.
If you're a first-time customer, that's not gonna happen.
Right.
You know.
You and I met too by an unexpected little meeting too. I don't even know how. I'm thinking of how you and I even got started because I had met you before I was even running around Orange County, even doing this to a certain degree. We did. I'm trying to think who reached out. I used to have a base C8. I think it was Kurt or somebody. Yep. Kurt reached out
for your C8.
Yeah, and I had no idea who he was. I just got a random DM from some Filipino kid, and I was like, what are we doing here? And he's like, no, I want to buy the C8. You guys gave me a really fair number on it. So fair that I was like, being in the collision business, I've seen a lot of shit. So when I saw that number, I was like, who the fuck are these guys?
And yeah, I started talking to Joe, and I'm like, I mean, at the time I had decent inventory, right? This is not when we first got started. It was a few years into it. This guy's like, I want you to pay off the car to the bank, my loan, before I drop off the car. I'm like, what the fuck does he think he is? I mean, I got millions of dollars worth of cars sitting in my warehouse, and this guy's like, you got to pay off my loan before I bring the car. I'm like,
my C8.
What?
As a Corvette owner, you got to pay off my C8.
Yeah. You had a lot to learn at that time, you know?
I'm
like,
okay. You're early in the game.
I had been screwed over in that business so much that when I saw this, and again, not knowing who they were, Instagram outreach, not being familiar with how easy business moved like that, I was like, I don't trust it. I was like, pay the car off. If you want the car so bad, pay it off, and I'll bring you the car.
I said, you know what? Why don't you come to the bank with me? Let's go get a cashier's check, put it in the FedEx, put it in the mail. Then you know it went.
We did everything. And from that moment on, you and I have been like this.
For sure.
From trusting, because I've bought multiple cars from you, sent multiple people to you. And it's one of those things where like that initial, because I was a little untrustworthy and you were like, who the fuck does this guy think he is? And we came to a median agreement. And from that, as a businessman, there's an equal respect saying, okay, I gave a little, he gave a little. We made the deal happen at the end of the day.
I think I had seen you before, though. I think your video, your clip of yours, you know, 9 people.
Yeah, we may have just started off.
Yeah.
That was right around that time.
So you ended up buying the Corvette.
I did.
And then you sold it, and then we saw the guy driving it on the road.
Literally.
I sold that car twice.
I think the first person.
Did we see both owners?
We did.
On the road? Or
yes.
We saw the first owner together, and then one of us saw the other one later or somewhere.
Didn't Austin buy that car?
Yeah, he did.
So that's what Austin Fine bought that car. Then he sold it to somebody else, or he sold it back to you. You sold it again?
He traded it back for something else, and he sold it again.
And then we're driving. I'm in the 720?
You're in the 720.
I'm in the 720 going down PCH, and I look, and I go, man, my Corvette was just like that. I was like, even the wrap, too. I was like, I made it so that it didn't follow the body lines. It followed, like, the actual shape. And then I went, isn't that my fucking car? And I looked at it in detail. It was my fucking exact car. And I was like, the memory it brought, and it was hilarious. And then I ended up trading that 720S for the Aventador you had. And that Aventador put us on the map.
The best part was you pulled up next to the guy, and he's in the car with his girl with the top down. And you're like, this was my car, and your Papaya Spark 720.
I didn't even think of like the social like for him. I was so excited to have seen my car again. I was
You're like, this was my car. You get it from Exotic Car Factory? He's like, yeah. You're like, yeah, that was my car.
his girl's looking. She's like, well, damn, what you got now?
Don't worry, baby. I'll have a 720 in a few months,
It's
too.
a normal lineage from that point on.
He's hitting me up for a Huracan now, so I think you did do some work there.
Some motivation a little bit.
Nice.
It's funny to see how everything always plays out, because then to go on this story even longer, right? I end up hanging out with some friends, and through a small group, end up you being really tied into that group too, to where we knew each other before that.
Yep.
And then we had gained trust, and then when that happened, it was like, all right, well, now I'm stuck with Shawn at this point. And we've been through that for such a long time, and I've seen you grow, the podcast grow. And it's one of those things where when you meet a relationship like that, they talk about like relationship building. How do you even build a relationship with people? Sometimes it almost happens organically, because you get mixed in the same circles. You get mixed into a point where I can help you, you can help me. But if you're not actively doing things and you're not actively in the scene, you're not going to build relationships like that. It took me even wanting to take the car down to Orange County. I'm all the way up in LA. I could have easily just taken the car for another couple $1,000s less, not have to drove down there. But I was like, you know what? If this works out, I'm going to build a really nice relationship with somebody. I'll fucking try it. And I ended up buying, how many cars I bought from you? 2?
Yeah, two. I
Two or
think,
three, I think?
Yeah, 2 or 3 now.
Think about that. Just from you buying my Corvette and putting up with my inexperienced dumbass to be paying the car like that.
You know, we got a lot of people that, a lot of people have been burnt by car dealerships, right? Especially independents.
Right.
So it takes it takes building relationship to be in the game like this.
100%.
And I value that a lot. I build relationships wherever I can. I'm out with people all the time, going to dinners, I want to get the name out there, but I also want them to know that you can trust me. You can drop off your car with me and make sure that shit's getting paid off.
I'll tell you this one part too. It's my show, so I can be racist if I want. Kurt hit me up, and I was sitting here. I was like, you don't make decisions. I was like, I want to talk to the guy that makes decisions, right? And that's when you and I finally got in touch. I was like, all right, this guy Shawn seems nice. He's got an Orange County dealership. We'll go down there. I pulled up, and I was like, who the fuck is this? Who the fuck is this brown guy trying to mess with me right now?
Oh my God.
And then that whole relationship started, and it created a lot of doors for us, because that Aventador you sold me, that has been like that moment of buying that car and trading the 720 into that. That's probably when I think about everything I've been able to accomplish. That car was like the pinnacle of it. That car was everything for me. So you making that deal happen meant a fucking tremendous amount to me.
I appreciate you trusting
That car was
and
fucking
making
lit.
it happen.
That car, if I explain that, I'm not allowed to explain the history of that car online, but that car is fucking the most perfect situation. It was almost like a timing thing. You talk big about timing. That car was like buying an SVJ for $400,000.
Yeah.
That car, do you remember how much work that car had into it?
That car was sick.
That car had everything.
But I got to ask you a question.
Hit me.
Having had that and now having the 812, which do you prefer?
Okay, so that's a tricky question to ask me. So the reason I got off that car, the Aventador, was because it's so much that when that's your only car, it's a lot to have, right? Put miles on it constantly, driving it all the time. It's fucking exhausting. So I wanted a car that was probably a little bit less problematic, a little bit more comfortable, because I was driving it often. Now I have multiple. So now that I have multiple, I would rather have my Aventador again.
Really?
Yes, but if I had only one and I was driving it every day, it'd be the 812. If I can have multiple, I would pick the Aventador over everything.
Really?
Yes, 100%. 812 is really comfortable. It sounds fantastic. It's dual clutch, so it's so smooth. The interior is 10 times nicer. But that Aventador has a driving experience from just simply the sound mixed with the shifts and how exhausting it is, that when you talk about one car, that's the pinnacle. But if I only could drive that every fucking day, I couldn't do it. That's why I got rid of it. I got tired of driving it every day. I was in the same financial situation to have multiple. Now I have the Cullinan, now I have that. So it makes it a little bit easier to have a car that's so crazy like the Aventador. Versus the 812 is just a little bit more reliable, more comfortable. You're a fan of the 812.
Yeah, you sound like you got opinions over there.
Yeah, I think Aventador is probably the best looking supercar in the last decade, right?
Yeah.
We can agree on that. I
Easily.
think it's probably the best looking car. But it's the worst fucking driving car.
It is. It is. That's why it creates the best experience.
And it's a ticking time bomb. You
Correct.
never know when your tranny goes out. You never
Correct.
know when your clutch goes out.
Correct. That's
Yeah.
why I moved off of it for the 812 because I was beating the shit out of that car. I bought that car, 20,000 miles?
Yeah.
And in 7 months, I had it up to almost 30 on an Aventador with full exhaust. Like that car, imagine how much I drove that thing.
Yeah, a lot.
So I got to a point I was like, I can't keep doing this. I was like, I want as close to this, but more drivable. And it's that.
Yeah,
812.
I agree. That's a great driving car.
You're a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
You're the
huge.
one that partly even told me, you're like, get an 812. Get an
Yeah.
812. And I was like, all right, fuck it. If old man Shawn says it, I'll fucking do it. Whatever.
I'm telling you, man, if you want an NA car, that's in my opinion, that's one of the best cars to get in that price range. Like 400 grand car, right? 375, 400.
Do you think they're undervalued at all?
I think they've been creeping up.
They have been creeping up.
Yeah, they've been
I
creeping
bought
up.
mine really pretty, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, the time I bought it literally mid-April last year when the market kind of lulled and then it popped again. I bought mine in that lull. Like right when the tariffs started getting delayed and everyone was trying to figure out what the fuck's going to happen. I bought it right then. So timing was really nice.
So you had Joe on the podcast before me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. He sold me an 812. Super clean car, one of his customers' car.
Mhm.
I bought the car. I sold it. Bought it for more 2-3 months later and sold it again
For more.
for more. That market's been and I think I could buy it for more than I sold it for the second time and still make a profit. That car's gone up 50 grand in the last, 60 grand in the last 6 months.
Easily. How much do you think I paid for mine?
What year is it?
It's a 19. I bought it with 8,500 miles. Not a high option car, so don't get it twisted. No
Back
exterior
then,
carbon.
right? This
Yeah.
was a year ago,
Yeah, a year ago.
probably mid 300s.
Yeah, I bought it for low threes.
Yeah.
So now, what do you think that car's worth now? Now it has 14,000 miles.
In this, mid 3s still.
High threes,
Right.
mid-high threes.
Yeah, mid to high 3s, So I sold mine in the 4s, the one that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But that car, low miles, 6,000 miles.
Yeah.
Black on red, bucket seats.
Oh yeah, the whole
oh,
works.
yeah.
What's the
Oh, yeah.
most important factor you think for these cars?
Spec.
Spec?
I think spec and the mileage.
Is spec just like the color options or everything?
Color, the options,
Because we see some crazy, like especially 812s recently. I feel like we've been seeing some crazy, really great looking specs where they went crazy on options for color and interior and stitching and all that stuff. But then there's no carbon options and they sit.
I don't know if you can get your money back on doing crazy options. I don't know if you can do that.
I don't think you can.
I think you do bucket seats, front lift, a little bit of carbon here and there is cool, but you don't have to do every little piece in carbon. You're not gonna see your money back on that.
There just needs to be some carbon.
Yeah. The only cars you see that kind of money back on is Pista, Speciale. You can get your money back on those, but that took what? How many years to go up, right?
Yeah, a long ass time.
Speciale is a 10, 12-year-old car.
Yeah, I think a rarity factor to it because we have a
Correct.
client that has an 812 GTS that's it's the rarest 812 I've ever seen. It's got full brown carbon, interior, exterior, everything. The racing seats are brown carbon, steering wheel's brown or bronze carbon. We taught technically bronze or brown. What would you call that?
Yeah, it's all brown carbon. It's tailor made.
Okay.
Yeah,
What's
it's
the
all-
exterior color?
Brown. Same thing. It's like it's
Brown
literally
on brown.
Like
Yes.
metallic brown,
metallic brown on like Alcantara brown seats
brown
with
brown
all brown
Alcantara
carbon.
seats.
It is when you see
There's
it,
like gold trim.
I think I've been shopped this car before.
you probably have.
Yeah.
Yeah, that car is fucking. When you talk about options that you might not get your money for, when you see that, you go no. But when you talk about the rarity aspect to it, find me another car that looks like it.
I've seen
Find
this
me
car.
another car.
Now I know exactly which car you're talking about.
That's a rarity thing.
Yeah.
Do you think that somebody can pull all the money in those options for a rarity spec?
Maybe if the spec is absolutely tits and someone really wants it, there's one-off cars when it comes to specs
Right.
that you won't find another one. Maybe you can get your money back on that.
It's all about end user too.
And it depends on the model.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Like an 812 GTS, those are about to get hotter and hotter. And something like that, you're going to be able to get more money out of. Like an SVJ one spec, you're going to get more money out of. Like a Huracan Evo that you did ad personam on, like you're not going to see your money
You're
back
not
on
going to
that.
see your money.
But an
back,
STO, maybe so.
That's very fair. What about the SVJ market going parabolic? Roadster market recently.
Bro, 1.2 million for a Roadster,
That's low.
1.3.
That's
For-
still low.
It's look 2020, 2021 's ranging in the 1.2, 1.3 range now, right? How?
No, I know it's ridiculous.
Who's paying for
we,
this?
we just brokered a deal at $1,005,000 for a Roadster with painted with stickered SVJ badges.
Bro, I just don't get it. I mean, what happened to the market is all these auctions.
Yeah.
Okay, Ferrari's going crazy, drove everything to go crazy, right? The
Mhm.
fact that everyone's going hybrid is bringing the NA market so far up. But at some point, this has got to stop, right?
It has to.
SVJ can't be a $2.5 million car.
You would think, and I'm on
Crazy
the
specs
same-
could be $2.5 million.
It's there's a fucking wild chance. I'm on the same wavelength as you. I think it has to stop, but every time I think it's going to stop, it keeps going and it keeps going and it keeps going. I'm getting priced out of a fucking SVJ at this point. You know how upsetting that is?
It is insane.
Do you think an SVJ 63 is going to be worth more than like the Countachs and the Sions and
Because what's
For
a Countach
some
around?
reason, the
2.5?
Countaches and the Sions aren't going up in value the way these cars are going up.
No, they're not.
because no one really they're not all over Instagram.
Yeah, but look at, let's just say, if the SVJ went up to $2.5 to $3 million and you can buy a Sion for the same price, what would you get? I'd get the Sion. It's 1 at 20.
Well, so the problem is okay. So there's the only thing about that is for example, the Sion. Nobody's driving their Sion. Everybody who's had one, they barely drive it. Like they literally talk about, I've driven the car fucking 4 miles, and they like stroke that fact. SVJ, you're talking about an SVJ with 10,000 miles going to be equal to a Sion with 60 miles. Which one would you pick? Something that you can drive?
And it's
or
really
collect
one
it?
of 19 because
SVJ with a real 10,000 miles, though. Not 40,000 on the ECU.
the white to purple fade Sion shouldn't even really count because
That's a sick car, too. I've seen that one.
I haven't seen this shit. What is it? It's a white to
It's
fade.
like
white,
purple.
white to purple fade.
It's fucking beautiful.
Not my style, personally.
But they're crazy cars, right? You won't
Yeah.
find
Very
another one.
aspect. I think the Countaches are undervalued. You want my honest opinion?
I think so, too. I saw someone selling one for like 1.6 on TikTok,
That's wild.
right? A dealer in New Jersey.
Think about that.
That's crazy.
Those
1.6.
For a new Countach. Think about that. I don't know. I think the new Countaches are some of like the most exquisite combo of like retro design, modern design with the Aventador platform. That should be a $5 million car.
You know, there's a triple white one in the market. I got offered that car for 2.3, and that's a risky car. That's not something I would buy, right? It's you're gonna sit on that car until you find the right buyer. The same guy still has it now. He's asking for 2.8. He's like, the market's gone up.
Has it?
I don't think so.
How the fuck is the market going up?
I don't
sat
think it's
there.
gone up.
It's
And I
stroking
keep telling him,
itself.
I'm like, listen, you got to sell this car and get your money out. You're a car dealer, bro. Like, you're not.
Some of these car dealers have too much money. That's the fucking problem.
You know, I'm friends with a guy who runs a Ferrari store. We talk all the time. There's a lot of movement, like especially on pistas. It's going straight in between the dealers. I don't even know if the end users are paying this crazy money that it's going for. Auction goes up, a dealer buys it from another dealer for more money just because the auctions are bringing up Ferrari prices. They think, oh, now the Ferrari Pista Coupes are worth $1 million, so let me get this one, this one, this one. I just don't think that that's the case, but
It's just
Yeah.
not. It's not sustainable the way that I see it. It's the same
think
thing with
so.
like the stock market. There's always a bubble. It's always about okay, somebody's willing to pay that number until somebody's not, and then it bursts, and then you're sitting there holding the fucking bag.
Yeah, and then there's 30 listed.
Exactly like this.
exactly.
But then you have what's happening now that I've never personally seen before. But you have dealerships that now, because of how much money they have backing them, they can almost pump markets by themselves by controlling inventory. I've never seen that done before. But now that's starting to come to fruition more and more. Where they get their eyes on something, everybody in that market is now subject to them.
Correct.
They'll buy everybody else and then price it out. Find another one
Exactly.
because they have the money.
You corner the market.
They have
right?
the money. Some of these places have too much money where now the marketplace has changed forever. Like exotic car marketplace, from when you started till now, not the same market.
Yeah, you got to adapt, man. You got to, that's like, we're not trying to do the P-Stars and the Speciales. I don't want to get stuck with the car. If the market comes down, I don't want to get hit with a $300,000 depreciation or $200,000 depreciation. I'd rather just do the normal cars. I'd rather do my builds,
Right.
sell my cars and move on.
The markets,
Yeah, exactly.
Let me ask you this, because you've actually had the opportunity and the expertise to sell a couple hypercar-esque cars.
Yeah.
What was that even like?
So I've had hypercars in stock,
Mhm.
and then I've brokered hypercars. I did 2 918s last year, right? They were easier than some of the supercar deals,
because the buyer's just like, I want it, and
Yeah, the guy who's buying the car gives me a number. The guy who's selling the car gives me a number. I make a little bit in the middle, brokering the deal, and that's it, right? It's
deal.
not too much of a headache. But these, some of the supercar deals go back and forth for
Yes.
days, sometimes months, 35 emails back and forth. No, man,
For no
hypercars
reason.
were super easy. But the ones I carried, I had a Senna, I had a couple 812 comps.
One of the nicest 812 comps I've ever seen.
The coupe sold fast. The Aperta sat, 5-6 months. When I bought that car, there was nothing else in the market. Ferrari dealers are not allowed to list their comp A's and comps. If you walk into, for example, in any of the Ferrari stores out here, they'll have at least one. They can't list it online. Ferrari doesn't allow them to list the car online. So I listed my car online. I'm not a Ferrari. I don't give a shit. But when you're buying the car, you have no basis to go off of, aside
Right.
from talking to people, like talking to
Right.
Ferrari dealers. And I didn't, at the time I had the car, I wasn't connected with my Ferrari guy the way I am now, right? I can make a phone call and be like, hey, I'm getting this car offered. This is what I'm paying. What do you think? He'll be like, buy it or don't buy it. He knows the market. He's transacting.
Right.
I hadn't. So we overpaid, I think, by about $100,000
Okay.
or maybe even a little more. For a wholesale for us to hold on to. It took me like 4 or 5 months, and someone found a customer for it. And at a Ferrari dealer, I ended up wholesaling it to them.
You make anything on it?
I broke even, or maybe lost a little. Nothing
Okay.
crazy,
Okay.
But those type of cars put you on the map,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
100%.
Having that type of inventory puts you on the map. So even if I don't make the money, sometimes I'll buy the car just to have it.
Right.
Right? And I'd rather break even on it and sell the car and show that I had it than just passing on the car.
Right. Especially if you can afford to have that much allocated for that specific purpose, why not? Fucking run it up all day long. You're telling me that there's more to a business decision than just making money on the car?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not just, in our space, at
Right.
least. You got to stand out, right? Like I said before, there's 15 other exotic car dealers around Orange County.
Right.
Like what makes you stand out? If you look at me, they know this guy's got 7 Mansory cars and built cars, this, that, and the other. But there's, other guys that are known for other stuff. There's a guy down the street that has 200 exotics sitting in his lot.
Right.
Who else can do that? You got to have
nobody.
deep pockets to do that. I can't.
Right.
I'm trying to get to like 75, 80 cars. Right? That's my goal.
From my understanding, you guys are currently under expansion as well.
Yeah, so we got a second warehouse. We're trying to hold about 70. I think we got 40, 42 in stock,
Okay.
and that's why we do a lot of wholesales too. So we got to keep the money moving. Ideally, we'd like to get to end of year, hopefully 100 cars, 75 to 100 in stock.
Doubling your inventory.
Yeah,
That's a massive move up.
yeah.
But this is not something you just decided overnight. This has been
No, we've been
calculated.
working on it. I think it may even take a little longer, but we needed the space to do it, right? You
Right.
can't get the cars first, then the space.
Right.
Right? You got to get the space, and you grow into that.
Right. Very much so. You got to almost fit into the mold as it's starting to get formed.
Yeah. So when I first got the current warehouse I'm in, I looked at it, cars up, parked, spaced out. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna fill this place up. Took me less than a year to fill it up. Right.
Right.
Now I got my second place while I'm keeping the first original one. I look at the second place, I'm like, this is not gonna be that hard to fill it up. We don't do a ton of consignments.
Mhm.
We always make an offer first, because consignment's a bit harder. You got to go back and forth with the customer.
Right.
If you have an offer, you got to call the customer back. Hey,
Right.
would you take this? So we always try to buy the car first. But now that I have space, and I would take a little more on the consignment end.
Because the reason the consignments aren't the fantastic part is because you don't get to make a business decision.
Correct.
You lose that opportunity.
Sometimes you got to sell both sides. It's already enough to have to sell the buyer
Correct.
on buying the car, but now I've got to sell the seller that this number is good enough and he should sell it. It's like you're negotiating two sides instead of just one.
And the toughest part is if they're consigning, that means they're not taking the wholesale offer, right? They want the most money
They want
possible.
the most money, and a
right?
lot of times that's a delusional number.
Exactly. I'll tell you this much: I hardly ever take consignments at delusional numbers. I'd rather not have the car. Why? It's a waste of space. I got to keep detailing the car. I got to videograph it, photograph it, all that stuff. It's too much work.
I would say that's even one of the mistakes that we've made so far is I come from a business model that it's make shit happen. Make the customer happy, whatever you got to do. I'm learning there's a blend between those two things. You have to continue to do that, but you can't just let them be delusional, right? But since we're new, I take the business. We list a car at delusional price, it sits, then they're mad at us, and I'm like, we told you should have came in at this number. You're up here. Now you're coming to reality and taking it out on me type of thing.
Yeah.
We've made simple mistakes like that, but that's just trying to hustle and get the business. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, for sure. I get it. But, you got to sit there and educate the customer. These people don't, when they're just looking at 2 or 3 listings online and they think, okay, this is what cars are selling for. No, this is what they're listed for.
Right.
Nobody comes in and say, hey, Shawn, let me buy this car for your listing price. Here's the money. No. They negotiate for days. What it sells for is completely different.
Right.
And, most people are under the assumption, we're making 50 grand on a car, so they have so much room. Sometimes, dude, when a car is 60 days old, I have no room to go.
Right.
And we just got to sit there and educate the buyers and the sellers.
Yeah, I've seen that for sure, and especially you're looking at the top listed stuff on the market because I feel like you're either listing your stuff a little high to give yourself room to negotiate and make the buyer feel better, or you're listing yourself lower, giving yourself less room to negotiate to try to get more leads in the door. So it's like if someone's looking at those high listings, those 3 high listings, thinking that's the number they're going to get, you're like, no, those guys are listing it high so they can make the buyer feel good when they give them 10,000 off. Compared to these listings, these guys are more accurate. You're probably not going to get as much off you try to negotiate with these guys, but that's a more accurate kind of price that they're selling it for.
So most of the normal exotics that's not built, what we do is we price the market a little under. I want the leads and the phone calls. I want my phones ringing constantly. It gives us opportunities to, let's say we discount a car and sell it at a very minimal profit. But if there's a trade involved, maybe we can make some money in the trade. Right. So we want the rotation. We want the cars moving. So we'll price them a little under market just to get it going.
You guys have the luxury because your purchasing is always correct.
Correct.
That's probably the number one thing about a dealer needs to be the purchasing.
You make your money on the buy, not the sell.
Sounds like real estate.
It sounds like also as someone buying. That's what I've always said to people trying to help them with buying cars. You make your money on the buy.
Yep.
Not the sell. The better deal you can get, that's where I guess it's more you lose the less money on the buy. But can I give you a scenario?
Yeah.
Just because I'm just curious.
Sure.
Someone calls, they want a car. Great. I've got a trade-in.
Okay.
What's the worst thing they can say next, model-wise? You're like, oh, great.
What kind of car they have for trade? I mean, I'll take anything in trade. I'll take a Honda Civic in trade. I don't care what they have. But, branded title in trade, that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like a salvage car in trade or...
There's no model. You're just like, no matter what the price is, I know this is just going to be harder to move. Like a Huracan's probably easy, right? Huracans, they just flow.
Yeah, they're Huracans, 488s, they're easy cars to sell. But the hardest stuff to sell for me is I think the rarest cars because people want the craziest money for the rare car. I mean, people offer me pista all the time. I don't think I've, in the last 3 months, I have been able to make one pista deal because they're delusional on the value.
The numbers aren't there.
Yeah. That's why, I prefer to take normal cars and trade than these crazy, one-off cars. It's much harder to put a number on it.
And to find an end user for it, even when you can put a fucking number on it.
Yeah.
You got to know the right pipeline of people.
Mm-hmm.
What is the number one thing you would recommend a new dealer do to try to build a clientele base?
Take deals.
Make shit happen.
Take deals, make a little less money, move the cars. You got one more client that's willing to do business with you in the future. All my clients, I always give my cell phone number to everyone. You can call me anytime. If your car breaks down, call me. I'll send a tow truck.
Right.
Because they'll make sure, even if they don't buy from me, then the next car, even if they don't buy it, they'll call me for advice. I don't care where you buy it from.
Right.
Keep the relationship going.
Yep.
If you don't buy it from me, look at, I can't carry 300, 400 cars now, right?
Right.
I don't have what everyone's looking for. Okay, hit me, ask me what you're going to, what I think of it. I'll give you my opinion. And when it's time for you to sell the car, then you'll call me. Hey, Shawn, you want to give me a buy bid on it? Or most people don't even ask me. He's like, hey, what would you pay for this? I'll tell them and they'll just drop off the car.
Yeah.
That's
You're
the
usually pretty
relation.
fair with customers too.
I do. I'm not trying to make I'm not trying to send my kid to college on one guy, you know?
Right.
I'm pretty fair. I want to make a reasonable profit. I want my guys to get paid. And, we have a relationship,
The way I always put it in until I explain it to somebody, you make your money on RBIs, you don't make your money on home runs. You got to produce RBIs because home runs might come, but you're not going to actually sustain a business like that.
Yeah.
You can produce an RBI machine. That is where all the money is. That's where all the power is.
That's why we're going after the volume, right? We give everyone a decent deal, and they'll continue to do business. They'll all be repeat customers, and we sell we might make the same selling 50 cars.
Sorry. Finish your story. I'm going to say something when you're done. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, what I was saying is we may make the same amount of profit selling 50 cars as we would sell 20,
Right.
But we have so many more clients, so many more trades, so many more opportunities.
Right. The reason I'm laughing, I'm sorry, because you are somebody that when it comes to replicating the business model, I would like to run the same style that you guys do because I think it's the correct model, right? So when we got into this business, right, we're setting up our software and everything, and I'm looking at the website that they gave us that auto generates. Remember the website that just auto populates?
Uh-huh.
I was looking at this and I was like, oh, interesting. And then I went on your site and I went, wait a fucking second. I was looking at the website. I was like, there's no way this guy Shawn is running the fucking base website that web or desk manager, whatever the fuck gives you. And you were running the same website. I was like, this fucker's doing all that volume with this website. You just redid your website, no? But before you're running the basic fucking website, no?
Yeah, I ran the auto manager website.
I laughed my ass off because I was like the power of word of mouth referrals in that business. You've been able to do something so flawlessly with your phone and your website. You didn't give a fuck about your website.
90% of people just run those websites.
I didn't notice it because I didn't know what the base template looked like.
So many dealers are running that website.
I didn't know. I got the base template and I started realizing I was like, what the fuck? Nobody cares.
When you're not known in the business, or your website doesn't matter, no one really goes straight to your website.
Right.
They find your cars on AutoTrader, cars.com. Sometimes they'll drive you to your website.
Right.
But for the most part, they see the car there and they call you. So I didn't think having a fancy website was important.
Right.
And then when you start selling a certain amount of cars, I'm like, okay, well, now I can actually go spend some money, get a website.
It's an image thing almost now.
I wanted to make sure I was not so top heavy when I was starting. I'm not spending $20,000 on a website.
Right.
I want money for cars. That's what I was doing.
I just laughed.
Which of the platforms you think brings the most leads?
Car Gurus.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Number
Facebook
one.
Marketplace, Car Gurus. Car Gurus been dominating the car space.
I've always said Car Gurus is the best platform, but some people don't agree. But
That's the best.
Well, if you're looking for a car, AutoTrader always has more listings than Car Gurus.
even when I'm searching for cars, that's the first place I go to, AutoTrader. But for some reason, it's not generating the same amount of leads that Car Gurus.
Yeah, people are using. I mean, I get more Car Gurus links than AutoTrader links, but I'm always seeing out AutoTrader links because I can pull up the same model, and hey, AutoTrader has 370 Huracans and Car Guru has 280. So it's like, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna look at the one with the way more.
My Car Gurus bill is 3 times my AutoTrader bill. That's probably why Car Gurus don't have all the listings, because most people are not willing to spend that much money to market your cars on Car Gurus. They think they're going to get the same exposure doing it on AutoTrader. That's why not every dealer is spending the money.
So you're telling me there's a more clientele base on Car Gurus than there is on AutoTrader?
I don't know for what reason. Maybe it's the fact that it says high price, low price, overpriced. Maybe that's what it is. or
Right.
maybe they're spending more money on bringing people to
Advertising.
their site. But yeah, car gurus get me the most leads.
I can't believe anyone uses cars.com.
Yeah, that's fucking true.
Don't use cars.com.
That's really fucking
You know,
true.
funny enough, I market there too. You gotta have your cars everywhere.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
You're everywhere.
Once you're your size, you got to be everywhere. But if you're looking for a car, like especially exotics, man, because I've done this so many times, I pull up all three and I look at the listing numbers from the same. I look nationwide, certain models, same search criteria. The listing number for cars.com is like half of Auto Trader, and then Car Gurus is always like 80, 90%. It's close, but Auto Trader's almost 9 out of 10 times. Auto Trader has more listings, but Car Gurus 10 out of 10 times has way less. So if you're looking for a car and you're just going to cars.com every day, like there's double the available listings out there that you're not even seeing.
Yeah.
Can I ask you another question?
Go ahead.
When you're starting off, right?
Mhm.
And let's say you were a dealership that capital's not your problem, right?
Okay.
You get backed, you got 5-6 million, which again is not even that crazy of a number, but you can start with that, which is a great starting number, right?
Mhm.
Where does somebody even go to buy cars?
The first place most people go is the auction.
Right.
Right? You go to Manheim, you go to Riverside. There's every other Thursday. There's a big sale, and then you got the DuPont sales on Wednesdays. Give Me the Vin has that sale at Dallas. All these people selling exotics. That's the first place you go. That's where I used to go all the time. I still log in. I don't buy as much at the auction because I don't have the need to. I buy so many from brokers, wholesalers, end users sell us so many cars that when I'm short on cars, I'll go to the auction. If I'm not, I'd rather look at the car and see it before I buy it.
Right. So that's when you started, you kind of have to buy from the auction.
You kind of have to, right? I mean, you don't have the connections yet to get your phone to ring to bid on cars, right?
Right.
A lot of question marks at the auctions.
Yeah.
A lot
Yeah.
of fucking
I mean,
question
you
Start buying some red light cars.
I've bought one before.
marks.
Because there's some people that run as is because they don't want to get arbitrated for anything.
Right.
People arbitrate for the dumbest shit.
Right.
Okay.
Even emotional sometimes, probably.
Listen, I sold the car. Okay, I run cars at the auction too when they're getting aged on me. Right. I ran a car at the auction. A dealer bought it. I guess a sale ran through Manheim Riverside. I just dropped it off at Manheim, California. It's closer. They're arbitrating for that.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah, so I said, no, hold on. Let me pick it up and drop it back off at Riverside.
That's no problem. That's no problem.
Then they're arbitrating because there was a 4-day delay or something.
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. You have 72 hours to drop off the car at the auction. You got 45 days to provide title. All those are arbitratable items.
That's fucking ridiculous. The auction is a whole dynamic in itself within the car space.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of shit that goes down at the auction.
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot. The CR number is not the real CR of the car. Trust me, I bought a lot before.
Yeah, I've seen a car with a 2.3 CR, and 2 weeks later it's back with a 4.5 CR,
Yeah.
and you're like, how does this?
They're doing that recon work. They're doing that recon work in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
What?
I said, you think they're really doing that recon work?
Hey, I'm looking at the pictures. Nothing's changed. It's the same car. You just got a new guy to come in and rate it differently somehow.
Yeah. That happens often. What you see is not what comes in
Right.
sometimes, but
So imagine how frustrating it is as a new dealer, buy everything from the auction, and let's say you buy 4 cars in the auction, you get there, 2 of them are fucked. You got to arbitrate, send it back, get the money moving like this. And then you got 2 cars that are halfway decent. You start working like that. It's just everything takes longer as a new dealer. Everything.
I think the most important thing is you got to have a good shop.
Yeah.
Right? You got to build a connection. I didn't want to do my own services.
Uh-huh.
So we do, we have a couple of shops we work with. They put us first because we're their technically their biggest client, right?
Right.
I'm sending 25, 30 cars for each shop every 2 weeks for PPI, right? So they put us first, look at the car, tell us what it needs, then we know how to move forward, right? You
Right.
gotta the biggest thing in this business, your reputation. I'm huge on reputation. I always want to get five star reviews, and so I make sure that the cars we sell have no problems.
Right.
You got to double check, triple check. We drive it around, make sure there's no issues before you sell the car, because the last thing you need is someone driving down, the check engine light comes on, and they're so angry and coming after you, you know?
Have you ever had a bad story like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can't control it. These are man-made cars, right?
Right.
It could be perfect, and you drive 10 miles and something happened.
Right.
It happens, but you just gotta, you gotta be nice enough, take care of the customer. Customer's gotta be understanding. This dealer didn't sell it to me, didn't sell me a bad car on purpose. Sometimes it just happens. You just gotta work with the customer. If you're reasonable, you answer your phone. Most people that buy cars, they're reasonable.
Yeah.
If
You gotta be able to face the music.
exactly. If you just ignore their calls and then block their number, yeah, you're gonna have
Fucking problem.
You
shitty
PPI the
situation.
cars before you buy them?
If, for the most part, if the car doesn't have a warranty, yes. If the car is still under warranty, and I can see that there's no paint work on the car, because I can just walk out to a car and tell you if it has paint work or not, right?
Right.
If it doesn't have paint work and the car is still under warranty, I don't really need to do a PPI, because if something goes wrong, I could send it to the dealer. I do the PPI. Every single car gets PPI'd before we put it up for sale. But maybe half the cars we PPI before we purchase.
Got it. You gotta take a little bit of a risk to a certain degree.
Yeah, I mean, look, I just took a trade from Florida.
Mhm.
I mean, the car's still under warranty. I'll take the gamble. But, if the car is out of warranty, I'm buying a 2016 488. Okay, let me just send it to a shop local, make sure that the car is okay. You don't want to spend $200,000 not knowing what you're getting yourself into.
Very true. But sometimes you got to take a little bit of a blended risk, but you also have crazy relationships all over the country, no?
We've built some good relationships, yeah.
To be able to send it here and be like, I have confidence that they'll tell me what's going on. Versus doing the same scenario, you have no idea the shop you're sending it to, or God forbid you're sending it to a franchise store, and now it's like the same equal risk. You're just paying for it in a sense.
Yeah, nowadays there's so much resources, right? You could send the Lemon Squad out anywhere.
Yeah.
And
Squad's not a bad option.
they do a pretty good PPI.
Yeah. It's 90% of what it needs to be.
Yeah, I mean that's all you need,
Yeah.
right? Because they drive it for about a mile and a half. If
Yeah.
something's wrong with it, it's gonna show up.
Right.
You can't mask a big problem.
Right. Very much so. Lemon Squad is a nice little resource. That business model they probably crank numbers at Lemon
They're killing it.
Yeah,
they
it's a fantastic model.
They crank.
Especially
fucking
for
numbers.
dealers who don't have the time or the resources to send a car to a shop to get a PPI, all that stuff. And
Still
then
a hell of a
same
business
for the people that don't know where to take the car, or they're working with a dealer and they're like, I don't want to trailer this over to wherever. And all right, I'll send these guys.
And people ask us for PPIs all the time. They won't take the PPI we have. They want to do their own, and we're always happy when they want to do their own PPI. We'll take the car to wherever they want. Yeah, within reason, right? I'm not gonna send the car to Texas for a PPI, right? But if they'll find a shop or a local Mercedes dealer or Lambo dealer, whoever, we'll send it out.
You're
Get
happy
the inspection done.
because you know it's going to come back perfect.
Number one, if there's an issue, we fixed it. I'm not selling cars with issues.
Right.
Number two, if they already got a PPI and something goes down, let's say 2,000 miles after something happens,
Right.
they already had a PPI. They knew that there was no issue when we sold the car.
Right.
Remember, these cars break down.
Right. No,
You
of
can't
course.
control that.
Of course.
But for some reason, in clients' mind, even after 2 years, it's the dealer's fault who sold it.
I think uneducated car buyers, like difference between educating in the car market versus being educated in how a fucking car operates, right? They think in their head that every dealer it touches, it's almost like a reset. Like the car's got to be perfect. It was a dealer had it.
Right.
No, it's not how it fucking works. If the car's good enough in a sense where you don't have to, it's a for-profit business, I think they forget to a certain degree. So they're not going to fucking hit every bell and whistle unless they have to. But as an uneducated person that doesn't even know how cars operate like that, it's like a feeling of a reset when the car goes to a dealer. But that's just not the case, especially at franchise stores. They think it's an automatic reset.
Yeah.
Franchise stores aren't going to do shit. I'm telling you that right now to your face. They're not going to do shit for it.
They might do an oil change.
The guy doing an oil change might even do it the way to do an oil change. He
Yeah.
might forget a bolt, and next thing you know, it's cooked.
It might be certified and they still didn't actually check through the whole list.
Think about how crazy shit like that is.
But at least you have a warranty, hopefully, in that case. Freedom with the guest questions?
Let's do it. Let's run it up.
Or you got anything else?
No, I think that's perfect. I was just making sure we're still good on time. Let's run the guest questions.
Are I have one last question.
Okay.
You got a lot of people that come in and try to do, they want to do Montana registrations.
Oh, we turn it down at the first question.
Yeah.
If you live in California, don't even ask.
Yeah.
If you live in California, that's not even an option. You shouldn't.
Right.
Just for your safety, you shouldn't do it. They're cracking down big time. We do get that often. I got that this morning on the way here. I'm like, oh, where do you live? Oh, Hollywood Hills. Where do you want to register the car? Montana. No, thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Done.
I don't need it. I don't want it. I don't care for it. Anyone who does Montana will do Montana. I think we want to stop Montana altogether. It's a headache. It's becoming a headache.
Mm-hmm.
But some people do Montana that's out of state. It needs to go there. It needs to get notarized, you know. And if they have a California driver's license, I'm not even considering it.
Did that just shut off right now? I think one of the cameras just ran time. I think it was that one. I heard it pop off right now. We're like 2 minutes, 5 minutes left.
Oh, no worries. It's been that long?
Yeah.
Shit.
It feels like it kind of went by, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been an hour and a half. What time do you think it is right now?
I don't know. 12?
12:30. 12:40 actually.
Wow.
Just like that. Welcome to Supercar Connection. It's just a conversation. at the
That's
end of the day.
crazy. Yeah.
Hour and 40 minutes, just like that, Shawn.
My first podcast ever.
I think you're doing a fantastic job, by the way.
I've never done these, bro. I don't normally do like even when Cosmo comes and wants to do this, I'm like,
Nah, you got to
I'm
stay
not
out of the
doing it.
mix. Stay out of the mix.
You know, I'm like, I'm out of the camera, you know. I think my guys do enough camera shit, you know, all these videos and
Anthony and them are celebrities.
brother, we went to an event the other day. Anthony took minimum 25 pictures with people. Chamba's second car meet. I mean, that is their community,
Yeah,
right?
that's it. That's their fucking. There's their ICP right there.
I'm like, what the fuck? Why are these people wanting to take pictures with you guys?
Anthony. I gotta go down and roast Anthony a little bit more.
Oh
You put
my
Anthony
God.
in the front office too.
I did.
Where's your new office?
So my office is all the way in the back,
Oh, you're the back corner. now?
but I'm coming back to the front.
You are.
Anthony doesn't like the fact that everyone just walks right into the office and it becomes the hangout spot, right?
Right.
Usually my office is like the lounge.
Right, well, it
Everyone
is.
comes to meet with me. We
I've
hang
lounged
out.
in there multiple times.
Yeah. So throughout this remodel, I'm gonna go back to my office, make it like a more of a lounge-ish type of situation, and put Anthony in the very first office.
The one on the front right.
Yep,
Okay.
that's where it's going.
I could tell. Even when I walked in the other day, he's like, "Yeah, I'm in the front now," and I was like, "It's just not the same vibe." Shawn, you had like a front office. You were like almost like you ran the thing while being the front desk at the same time, and it felt like it was all blended into one.
Yeah. So what we're doing is we're closing the entrance,
Okay.
and we're opening it towards the warehouse. So
Okay.
you would enter from like the warehouse.
And
My
then you walk
current
into there.
my customer the current lounge area is gonna be part of the warehouse on the rebuild.
Oh, that's bitching.
Yeah.
That's gonna be awesome.
All right, let's finish this,
Let's run it.
or else this thing might overheat again and shut off.
All right, let's do it then.
It's
Guess
probably
question
because these cameras have been running like 3.5 hours now. So
It's all good.
so guess questions. It's
Okay.
what everyone gets. First question: what's the most overrated car today?
Oh, you're gonna hate me for this one, Joe. I think the Aventador is the most overrated car.
a
Let me
hard
tell
one.
you why.
Go ahead.
It has so many problems. It costs so much money, and everyone blocks the miles on those. And
It is the
I
most
hate
risk.
dealing with the car.
When you think about a car with the most risk, that is the car with the most risk.
Yeah, it's so hard to find a clean one. And I didn't think. I mean, all the NA cars went up in value, right? But
Right.
before that, all the influencers brought this SVJ to the moon.
Correct.
No one really cared about the Aventador that much, except the look of it. You know, I think that car is way overrated for what it is, for the drive of the car.
I don't think it's a bad take. People have said it before.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Have
either.
they?
It's the Aura car.
Yeah,
It's a social media car.
that's it.
You buy it, you're instantly making at least $250K a month. Instantly.
You're getting all the followers. You get an SVJ, you get 100,000 followers.
Like this.
What's the most underrated car today? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
You might hate me for this one too.
Fuck, Shawn. Give me
For
some.
the money, the best underrated car is the SF90. You can get one
No, I
for
don't hate
400
that.
grand.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that.
1,000 horsepower. Once upon a time, it was $1 million car,
Yeah.
right?
So crazy.
Now you can buy for low 400s,
I don't
high
hate that answer.
300s.
I don't hate that answer. Depending on the one, yeah. Maybe wholesale.
It's a lot of car for the money.
You think that's the most underrated car in the market?
Is that better than
Listen.
getting a 296 at 270?
I hate that car. I hate the look of it. I have one. I
It's
hate
gross.
it.
It's gross looking.
Yeah.
They say that it drives fucking fantastic though.
Oh yeah. So I have a decent profile with Ferrari. So I got a 296 to get my speciale. I hate that fucking car. I haven't driven it once. I'm waiting for my 6 months so I can sell it back to them.
And just be done with this
Yeah.
shit. All right, then.
Got to
so
lose money to make money.
quite literally costs money to make money. You got 3-car garage. Okay.
Okay.
One has to be an SUV or truck. One under $1 million, and then one over $1 million.
So the SUV, does it have to be a certain price range or no?
No,
You can do
anything.
anything you want.
One under $1 million, one over $1 million.
Yep.
Okay. SUV is going to be a Mansory Cullinan
Okay.
all day.
Okay.
Right. So I think it's the best looking
Walk me through
SUV
the
in the
spec.
market.
What's the spec?
I do a black one.
Okay.
Satin PPF.
Okay.
And I would do lemon interior.
What the fuck? What is this lemon
Wow.
thing everyone's on?
Bro, you got to do Forge Yellow or lemon. Mandarin's
No.
been played out.
Forge. Okay, first off, Forge Yellow. I don't know why that is trending right now. That shit is ugly.
Let me tell you something. No one had done in the last few months, okay, with the Mansory being popping out. No one had done a Forge Yellow Phantom.
You did.
I got so many hits on that car.
Fuck.
Okay. To this date, everyone asks about that car. I'm building a second one.
Of course you are.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, but why not? Why not?
It's Forge Yellow or lemon or lime. Not so much. Lemon yellow is it's a little weird, but lime is sick.
I can't do it, dude.
Lime green.
Forge Yellow. I just don't agree with the color, but it's okay. I understand.
I think it's the sickest Rolls Royce interior color.
I think beating Charles Blue is hard, but that's fair.
That might be a trend.
Okay,
Think-
so that's
I
the
think it's
SUV.
Yellow and lime
Okay.
green might be a trend.
Yeah, I'm bringing lime green too next. Watch me. Cullinan and a Phantom.
Fuck. Nick Dosa might have you beat on the Cullinan aspect on that one.
Does he have a lime
He's got a
Mansory?
No, he doesn't. He's got a base stock Cullinan that's neon green exterior, neon green interior. It's even got the picnic table neon green in the back too.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
I'd do like black outside.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, you
know.
can't be retarded.
So that would be my spec.
Go ahead.
And the under $1 million car would be the Revolto.
Okay.
I love that car. I think it drives great, looks great. You put an exhaust on it, sounds great. Very fast too. And then over $1 million car, investment grade car, or we're talking about
anything.
Whatever you want.
Anything.
What speaks to Shawn?
$1 million car. I'd get the Chiron over $1 million car.
Okay.
That car I think is one of the best looking, hypercars
designs.
in the marketplace.
That shit is pretty fire.
Yeah.
Regular Chiron, Super Sport, Pure Sport.
Pure Sport. I like the wing in the back. Super Sport's a little too elongated, I feel.
Yeah, a little
Mhm.
chunky.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, the
but
Pure Sport's awesome.
Pure Sport
perfectly
looks
sleek.
insane.
Fucking perfect.
I haven't had one of those for sale yet, but hopefully soon one day.
It'll happen.
you
Fuck
know.
yeah, it'll happen. Well, I appreciate your time coming all the way up from OC to even be here with us. The knowledge is always fantastic. Guys, Exotic Car Factory, where can they find you on Instagram?
Exotic Car Factory.
Perfect. It's that simple, that easy.
.com.
All right, guys, we're Supercar Connection. Again, Shawn, thank you for the time.
Thank you.
We're out.